so much for taking out the time and joining and agreeing to share your journey, your insights, your learnings about IIM Lucknow life with the participants. It will be very valuable to them. Would love to get started with your introduction. Maybe you can get started. How was your journey, and how did you think of going for your higher studies and choosing management and then choosing IIM Lucknow, and what has your journey been like personally? I know it's a long question. We'll keep it brief for now and then cover different parts of this question throughout the session.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, I'll just start with a brief of myself. So, I'm a computer engineer from the batch of 2018, and post that, I was working with Credit Suisse for 3 years. So, I think having worked for 3 years, there was always that element of what next, and just the question of upskilling myself. And because I did not see myself really continuing in the field of computer engineering for longer, and there was an inclination towards finance. MBA became like one of the natural stepping stones for upskilling and taking the journey forward. So the bigger question there was like, do I want to do my masters from India or abroad? And given that I wanted to stay in India, not move abroad, I think giving CAT was the best possible option. And then yeah, I'm Lucknow happened, and I think about the journey, etc. We'll cover along the way depending on the questions people have. But yeah, for the last 2 years, I've been working with Deutsche Bank in their investment banking division. I cover tech, media, and telecom with them. So yeah, that's just a brief about myself. We'll probably have Amir talk. He's the more recent one here.
So yeah, I'll also start with a brief introduction about myself. So hi everyone. My name is Shadan, and I have also done my engineering from IIT Lucknow. So I have done engineering in information technology. So during my graduation at college from 2018 to 22, I was also working as a freelance UX designer, where I got this chance to work with 15 different individual clients and companies from deep tech to mid tech. So this is when I decided, looking at my managers and different individual entrepreneurs, that I want to pursue this journey of management. So I attempted CAD first in 2022 when I did not get the admission to my desired college. So then I started working as a software engineer for TCS. So it was a very short 10 months stint before I gave the CAT again, and this time got lucky with my scores. So post that, I joined IIM Lucknow. So I'm in second year right now. During the first year, I got this chance to intern with PwC India. So recently, I concluded my internship with PwC, and I was working as a tech consultant. So currently, I'm waiting for the finals placement that are coming up. And apart from this, I love trying new food and recently started playing TT. And I'm very excited about what's going on in the AI field right now. So yeah, that's pretty much about me. We'll cover more parts of it as questions come up.
Thank you so much, Amir, for sharing your journey. Utkarsh, over to you. I would love for you to share your journey. How did you decide to pursue higher studies and why management, and how has your journey been briefly?
Yeah, hi. Good morning, everyone. I am Utkarsh. So I completed my MBA in 2023. I joined MBA in 21 as a fresher, and Shadan is my junior. I had also completed my computer science engineering from IIT Lucknow, and Avichal is from my batch. Currently, I'm working as a product manager with Kotak Mahindra Bank in their credit cards department. So that's pretty much from my side a brief intro about me. And you would have seen how Charan has given a well curated answer about his institute. So that's what B School does to you.
Yeah, thanks Utkarsh for the introduction. So let's start the session. So we'll start with a few questions and we'll open the Q&A for the participants. Would request the participants to post anything that you want to ask about management, about careers after management, about CAT preparation, covering entire spectrum. We would love to take questions from the participants. Feel free to post in anything. I've opened the Q&A and looking forward to a interactive session. So opening the floor for participants. So let's get started with the first part of the spectrum, which is your CAT preparation journey. What are some useful tips that you would give for CAT preparation? But more importantly, I think CAT has just gone in November. So for interview preparation, would love to hear all of your thoughts. Let's keep the same order. Let's start with Avichal and then Shadan and Utkarsh.
Okay. So I think for interview, it's I think the way you need to approach interview, especially for the IMs and for the other B schools by extension, is preempting, what they can ask about you. So I'm sure there are a lot of questions floating around your personals and HR, like, the whole thing about tell me about yourself and why do you want to join your B school. So I think you categorize the questions in two parts. One, which you think are very repetitive and, just something like as basic as tell me about yourself. So, although it gets very monotonous and boring, I think how candidates need to approach this is that these are questions that the panelists or interviewers also know that you have a fair idea are going to be asked. So there is absolutely no wiggle room for you not being prepared for such questions. Because when they know that, okay, this is a question a candidate was supposed to be prepared, so it just shows your level of preparedness when you are putting in some thought about coming up with some best points about yourself or just telling why you want to take the next step in your career as a B school and not something else. Having said that, the interviews are not very structured as you would expect them to be. There can be a lot of random questions. So I think just maintaining your composure there, keeping slightly more presence of mind, being a little well read through the next couple of months about what's happening generally around you in the country, globally, and just sharpening up upon your journey so far, whether you've done an undergrad in engineering or BCom or anything. So I think being very self-aware and being aware about your surroundings, I think those two things will really help. But I think the others can now add on anything that I've missed.
Okay, so I think a lot of part is already covered by Vichal, but I would like to also add this that when you are giving the answers to these structured questions, you should also be well aware of all the follow-up questions that are going to come with it. So let's say if you use certain words like I'm interested in artificial intelligence, so let's say that there will be follow-up questions on that. So be very mindful of what words you are using in your structured questions because so I mean, this is about it. Yeah, I have this much to add, right?
Yeah, thanks. Utkarsh, over to you. Would love if you can share any insights from your personal interview if you remember, that would help.
Yeah, so a couple of things. So starting from what is going on in the world. So I remember during my time there were farm bills and farmer protests going on. So there were a couple of questions from that side also. There was developments in the geopolitics. So there were questions in my interview from there also. But apart from that, you need to have a good knowledge of your, I guess, subject, your undergrads, whatever you have done. So there were questions from computer science engineering, and there were questions on AI, ML, and such sort of stuff. So I think you need to firstly have an open mind, and you should be open to take those questions. And given a time period of 30 or 40 minutes, what do you think panel would be expecting? They want something interesting to be coming from you. They want something that interests them. And in that way, try to put some 2, 3 points that gauges interest of the panelists into you, and then maybe you can direct the interview in that manner. So I remember they had some questions on AI and all, so I was well read on those topics, so my interview went smooth in that part. So I guess, yeah, that's from my side.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights. So there are some questions that have come in from the participants. Would love to start taking those questions. So the first question is, what is the best advice for average student to crack CAT?
With an average. Firstly, I don't think that is really an exam where anyone is a average student or no, so as to say. And this is not from a philosophical standpoint, but you see, if you really dig up the stories of people who've made it to the top IIMs, also there are a lot of people who have really turned around their percentiles. I see someone with a 17.22 in one year and then going past 98, 99 in the second year. So I think the key to those things are more consistency, that you really have to keep going at it, right? These are concepts, like especially the quant side and all, these are concepts that you covered in your early schools, 8th to 10th mostly. Triangles, geometry, algebra, these are not very uh, high level calculus sort of maths that is, really intellectually challenging. It's more about practice and getting into the flow of what the test is really trying to test you about, right? It's more about consistently trying to get better with each mock or each area of weakness. And the second part, I think Shadan would have more idea about this, but how important is 10th, 12th, and UG? So, firstly, all the IIMs, they have a different set of weightage that they assign to these things. That there can be a 5% assigned to 12th. I'm not sure if 10th is still being considered as seriously in most of the IIMs, but at least 12th and undergrad do take 5 or 10% of your weightage. So that is more black and white. that, whether you are in a particular band, you get a certain sort of score. That's the weightage. But more importantly, someone who has a 999 or a really good 10th, 12th, and undergrad trajectory, it just shows a lot of academic consistency in your profile. So when you're sitting in an interview room and the interviewer looks at someone with a stellar academic profile, I think that person has lesser to justify why academics did not go well rather than someone who's not had as good. But having said that, I was not a 999. Like, I have had my undergrad CG was around 75%. So it's not really a deal breaker. I'm sure there are people who are better than me in terms of undergrad score, and some might be in the same range or lesser. But I think Shadan is the current second year, so his experiences would be the most recent.
Okay, so about the first part of the question, I would like really agree with what Avichal said. So I got this advice from one of my mentors quite early on, and he said that CAT is not really a knowledge test. It's how much you can handle the stress of the exam. Like there's a pattern changes every year, so how adaptive are you in those 2 hours? That's what actually matters. So it's not something about someone can be average or not. If you can handle the stress well, that comes with practice, right? So if you are willing to put a lot of hours in doing the mocks and the preparation part, then I'm sure you are going to do well about it. About the second part, I mean, as he said, different IIMs have different criteria assigned to 10, 12 marks. So IIM Lucknow currently just the criteria came up. So it's about 30% CAT, then 40% via that PI, and 10% VAT. So what remains is 20%. So in this 20%, they are taking the graduation, 10, 12th, and everything. So the weightage is not so much, and it also changes along with different IIMs. Yeah,
Yeah, thanks, Shraddha.
Utkarsh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think most of the points are already covered, but something that I would like to let know the participants is that mostly whatever you are doing, whether you're preparing for your PIs or your CAT preparation for your written exam, do enjoy the process, because I guess over the time, whenever you're writing such exams or interviews, you need to have a kind of feeling that you're enjoying the process and that you are imbibing skills or that you're learning something new. Because if you're going through that exam with such a mindset, then it is something that you'll start enjoying the process, and then you would not think if that is something that is pressurizing you. So that is something I want to quote. And apart from that, as Vichal and Shadan, they already mentioned that different IIMs have different criteria, and I think IMS would already be maintaining an Excel on those lines, like what is important for that.
For an experienced candidate with work experience, do we still need to brush up on UG subjects? And I think, yeah, along with this, there's another question. Can you elaborate upon the GD and VAT? What can somebody do to prepare from now? So maybe let's reverse the order this time. Let's start from Utkarsh and then Shadan and Avichal.
Yeah, so talking about interviews and all, so it is something I remember my mentor saying me that you need to cover everything that comes under the sun, but it is not something you can do. So you need to plan it in some way, that you need to prioritize the things that you need to see. So something that is very important is you need to cover your undergrad subjects well, but that is something they are not trying to see if you have done well or if you are a master of that subject. It's just that they want to know that you are a part of that course and that you know things. And going forward, if they are going to put you on test on such sort of things, you'd be able to handle that. So that is first thing. So I'll take example in my case. So I had computer science engineering. So I had gone through my subjects. I even after my graduation, I browsed through some of the courses which were kind of main courses for me, like algorithms and all. So they really helped me during my interviews. And apart from that, what is being going on currently, so you need to keep yourself updated with everything that so each and everything that comes up, from covering what is happening in USA, so what is happening in the Middle East, what are the developments going on India China border, so things like that. So make sure for I guess the interviews will be starting in the next 1 or 2 months. So make sure that you are, updated with everything that you see. Maybe even if you're going for strolls and all, just try to think or try to kind of create an opinion and talk something interesting about yourself in the interview, then that would help you a lot. Yeah, over to Shadan then.
Okay, so about the first part of the question, for an experienced candidate, do we need to brush upon these subjects, right? So, I mean, this comes from my experience and also some of my friends who are attempting. So, what I have observed is the panelists in most of the IIMs are more willing to ask questions around the work experience part, right? So even I did not have a work experience, but whenever I mentioned that I have freelanced with this company, almost all of the follow-up questions usually came upon, that what were my responsibilities, who were the kind of clients, and what kind of work I was doing. So I think for a person who has 3+ year work experience, a large portion of the interview will probably go around work experience and their responsibilities. However, there is a very good chance that some random questions come about, undergrad subjects as well, but they don't really are very deep. They are just, just to know that you know the basic definitions and you were actually the part of the course. So you just need to have a very little idea about what your subjects were and what were the topics that were basically covered in those subjects. The larger focus is on the work experience and what kind of skills you bring to the table from your experience. About the second part, GD and VAT and how to prepare. So I think, the cornerstone for writing GDs and VAT, is that you have to, I mean, this is a good tip that you have to bring a business perspective about everything. So I remember one of my friends got VAT topic as, the trolley problem. So it's a very famous, philosophical question, and there is no actually right or wrong answer about it. But they just want to see that, a good answer can be how you are trying to bring utilitarianism into those parameters. Like how are you trying to maximize the value in any way? So if you talk about, my topic was, stock market is a gamble. So for everything you will have to in a way kind of bring the business perspective to this, and you will try to maximize from whatever situation you are being given. You have to maximize the value that you're creating in your solution. So yeah, this is from my side. I think Avijal will have to add to this.
Yeah, so I had 3 years experience, so I think I can talk from what my interview went like. So, see, in most of the cases, if the interviewer is trying to get to know you, they'll probably give you at least 30 to 40 seconds just to talk a little bit about yourself. And in that sort of a scenario, it really depends on how you position your answer, right? If I go about saying that I've worked here for 3 years, or if I'm a football player, then naturally the interviewer also understands that, okay, probably these are the areas they would like to focus on. Not a guarantee, but sometimes they really take the cues from what answers you give them. Are undergrad subjects a mandate for someone with 5 years, 3 years experience? I mean, like he said, right, there can always be those random questions. Yes, they are more accepting that, okay, you have left the field for a while now, so you're not into academics really, so they can have more leeway towards you. But still, I would say that I had prepared two subjects. Like I was a computer engineer, I'd prepared database management systems and one more subject so that just in case they ask you what have you done, it cannot be a complete blank of your 4 years of education. But then at least when you know some things and then you can balance it out by saying, okay, because I've been working for the last 3 years on certain other things, I've not consistently been in touch with my academics, but I can try to answer. So you sort of safeguard yourself, but also show that you're aware of things that have happened. So I think it's a mix of those. The second question, I'm not sure what was it.
I think about more
But
about VAT preparation.
yeah, but I think so. In my time, we did not have a VAT or GD. It was directly a PI. But I think, like he said, the cornerstone is getting a business perspective. I would say one more cornerstone is having knowledge. Like the more you're well read, like he said, trolley problem. I'm not sure how many people here would be aware of what it is, right? So I think if they're giving you a keyword, because like if they give you something as elaborate as stock market being a gamble, maybe you can take a wild guess and write something. But if they give you, okay, what a trolley problem is or something else. So, I mean, the more you're well read or the more you cover, the chances of you being aware of certain things and being able to put some thought becomes that much more relevant. So, I think just try to cover as much ground in terms of reading right now. And just the last advice is that, see, no one blames you when you get out on a Yorker or a bouncer, right? People will not tolerate if you're getting out on a full toss. So, when you get the easy questions, that tell me about yourself. Why do you want to do business school or why do you want to do finance? If you have said, I want to do finance, those are the questions that you first need to really knock off the park, right? That they know what you're doing. Now, if I ask you, tell me the first president of the United States or Brazil, and maybe you don't know, you know it great. You don't know it, I'm not going to hold it against you. So it is really important, how you prioritize your preparation and go from strength to strength, not from, picking up the most random thing and then trying to get back to the basics. So I think that's just the strategy that I deployed for myself.
Thank you so much, Avijal, for sharing. I think we have got wonderful insights from all the three speakers on this question, so that's amazing. Let's move on to the answer of the poll, and let me put in another question, and we'll move on to the next question then. So what has been your experience of nostalgia? If you any of you would like to share that, and from that maybe the answer can be revealed if any of you has attended that.
Actually, I think nostalgia ends up inviting alums, which have so they try to invite more senior alums, like who've been out of the campus for 10, 15, 20 years. So it's like more of a reunion. Unfortunately, Utkarsh and I have yet not been invited, given it's just been 2 years since we've graduated from the college. So it's like more for alums who've passed out, a while back. So it becomes like people are really spread out and they are then coming back. So nostalgia, Utkarsh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
yeah.
Avijal.
And I would like to tell you guys that Avichal has been a part of our student committee. So you guys have got a wonderful panelist, I must say. And nostalgia is something that is, that is something that we do for our alums or our, senior batches. I've been a part of the organization team, but per se, we have not attended. We are yet to attend that. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So I think the correct answer is option C, which is alumni homecoming meet. Posting the next question just for fun. Meanwhile, we'll take the next question. So the question is, what is unique about Annapurna, which is at IIM Lucknow? Option A, it's a student-run mess. Option B, it's open 24/7. Option C, it's the largest mess among all IIMs. Or option D, it serves only the local Lucknow cuisine. All right, please feel free to post in your options. And feel free to guess without looking at the internet. It's fine, it's just for fun. So please feel free to put in your options. Let's move on to the next question. I think, Shadan, there's a question directed towards you. How did you manage the on site PWC internship? But we'll extend this question to know Avil and Utkarsh, your experiences of internship too. So we'll start with Shadan and move on to both of you.
Okay, so I mean, I joined PwC India in April and my internship continued till around June. So I was working as a tech consultant, which is kind of, I'll be honest, it is a very new field for me. I did not have any past experience working in the same. So I think there is a good, a time frame that is given to you to prepare for your internship. There's a good training program and a buddy is assigned to you, a mentor is assigned to you. So they kind of handhold you during the starting days. They explain you the work that you are expected to do, and there's also continuous monitoring. So it is kind of a very smooth onboarding process which helps you to get on board. And I think during the internship part, which is very quick, 2 months experience, so they do not expect you to get some work, actual work done and bring outputs or things like that. All they want to see is how willing you are to take up new assignments. If there is anything new that you have to learn, how efficient you are at that, and what is how willing are you to talk to your managers, to network, to tell them about your problems, and to just quickly grasp what they are trying to see. So I was supposed to work on SACs, that is SAP Analytics Cloud, for some data analytics work, and I had no prior experience about that. So a buddy was assigned to me, and he was very proactive in teaching and everything. So at the end of the training program, I was supposed to create a mini project. So I was entirely judged on my internship about that mini project only. So that is not something that the company is going to use for a client work or something. They are just trying to grasp if I'm able to quickly grasp those concepts or not. So I mean, this has been about my internship experience, but usually people are supposed to do client work also. Some of my peers were supposed to visit the clients and do the actual work also. So I think Avichal can add to this.
Yeah, I read the question. So I think there is no overlap between the college and the internship. If you think how he managed his IM like days with the on-site internship, there's a summer break, which is where you do the internship. So don't worry, it's not going to be like you're doing college in the morning and also doing your internships. Having said that, yeah, it depends on the kind of field, the kind of expectations or internship program that the company has. So it can be very different. For a product manager like Utkarsh to a consultant like Shadan or like someone in banking like me. But yeah, what they try to give is give you a flavor of what, your day to day would look like when you join. Having said that, the internship's also about, grasping whether both of you, whether you as a employee is fit or, would excel in a role, and they as an organization have something that, caters to your particular skill set.
What can anybody do if they are interested in a particular domain? Can they do anything to prepare now before joining IIM next year? Let's Yeah, Vichal, please go ahead.
So I think specifically talking about IB or like finance in general, I think, see, either you come from a undergrad pedigree wherein you've done finance already, or people with experience in a related job experience, that really helps, right? Because that shows a natural path that you've done this and that's why you want to continue doing that. But that's not a deal breaker because I'm an engineer. I had no real IB experience before I landed up with an IB role. So I think there are certifications like CFA, and I'm just quoting a few. It's not necessary to do these. It's just to give an example. Like you do CFAs or any relevant coursework that at least tries to give the interviewer the idea that okay, this guy is interested in this particular field, which is why he's making an effort or investment of time to upskill himself in that. So I think that is one. Secondly, I think there are a lot of finance-based case studies as case competitions as well that you'll get to know about once you join competitions, the colleges. Then there's a CFA run case research that happens annually, I believe, which is run on a campus basis and then on a national basis as well. So I mean, these are some things. So saying that you want to get into one field is okay about your interest, but what are you doing to do like upskill yourself in that particular domain and show the interviewer that okay, I had 3 months, but in these 3 months also I've done ABC to ensure that I'm taking the right steps towards making a career in investment banking or product management. So I think that is the key part that will set you aside. So it's not really that only commerce grads will get into banking and only engineers will get into product. One of our batchmates, I don't remember him being an engineer, but he ended up into Atlassian, like which was one of the best sought after product management roles on across the country, I'd say, not just on campus. So it's not so much to do with your previous background, it helps, but what you do in the time leading up to the internship is really important. So just take as much certifications or some questions that you can. So I think that that's probably going to help.
Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing. Yeah, Shadan, over to you.
Yeah, so I think Avichal has mostly covered everything that goes into it. But this is what I would like to recommend also, that if you want to go into a particular field and you are well decided on that, you can do a lot of certifications. Like if you want to go into operations, you can do the Six Sigma certificate. I mean, these are just examples. They are not limited and they are not compulsory. And you can also try to connect with the network on LinkedIn. So people who are into, that domain that you want to pursue, you can connect with those people. You can talk to them. You can know about what goes into it, because before joining the B school, especially for freshers, they have very little idea about what is actually inside the field. So connecting with the relevant people on LinkedIn and talking to them is a very nice way to know more about the field. So yeah, this is what I have to add.
Yeah, so something I would like to add from a fresher's perspective is that try to gauge the domains, try to explore the domains, and try to figure out like which of the areas like kind of interest you. So that is something that would maybe set the tone for the coming years, and that would really help you going forward in your MBA. Because starting once you enter a B school, one thing that is very important is that your CV preparation starts, and basis that you start looking after the companies, and then once you progress in the second year, you are asked to do majors in some of the subjects like finance, marketing, strategy. So it is very important that you make up your mind initially. Maybe take this time, the 1 or 2 months that you have, try to explore the different fields that you have. And as Chadan and Avichal mentioned, uh, it is not that you're doing going after some certifications and going after trivial courses and all. Make sure that the courses that are doing are really worth taking, and maybe even something that is better than doing courses is try to do even a 1 month or a 2 month internship. So that is something that would help you a lot going forward. So let's say if you are someone who is interested in marketing and you crack some even if that's a small firm or maybe a startup, and you have done 1 month or 2 month internship, then that will set you apart from other candidates who are appearing with you. So that is one thing. Secondly, it is very important that if you could, just make your mind in which domains you'll be going ahead or which domain you're going to pursue. But that is something that you, over the years, that you can go ahead and change. But I would not recommend changing it more frequently, because I was someone who had initially thought that I'd be going ahead and, pursuing marketing and all, but I ended up in product management. So you need to be flexible on those uh, stuff also, but at the same time, if you are, making your mind doing some relevant courses or internship, that would really set up the tone, and that would, make your part from your peers, and that would really help you during your PIs also, as well as even if you're appearing for placements in your summer internships.
It's about case studies and competitions which are important, and I think IIM Lucknow is known for the case studies, and I think there are YouTube videos of the IIM Lucknow consulting club which are very well seen by people. So I think would love to know your experiences of which case study competitions, which clubs were you a part of, and how important is it to participate in all this from a placement and learning perspective. We can start with Shadan and Avichal and then Utkarsh.
So, I mean, case studies are usually a very, good avenue to and also to, showcase your skills and acquire many different skills. So it is like there are usually two kinds of case competitions. One is college based and the other one is corporate based. So if you are, fortunate enough and your work is good enough, you get to crack the corporate case competitions where you also get a chance with the company. So that may directly convert into a placement opportunity. So it's a very good chance to score something out of the campus as well. Apart from this, the college case comps are also there, which are spread across different domains. There are consulting case comps, there are operations case com, and in all the domains there are different case comps. So once you crack some of those case comps, or you are even the finalist, you can mention it on your CV, and it reflects very well on your part. So this is one of the many ways in which you can showcase that you are very interested in this particular domain, and you are also very directed towards learning and acquiring skills in that domain. So yeah, what was the other part of the question?
How important is it to participate in this case studies and competitions from a placement point of view?
Yeah, so like as I mentioned, they usually, if you're participating in corporate case comps, they may convert to direct PPIs, and we can have a perspective of employment from those companies. And about the college case comps, they kind of build a platform for you for they are the places where you can experiment with different criterias, different templates, different you can see what works for you and what does not, and you can just transform those learnings when you are participating for corporate case comps. So the eventual purpose of these case comps is just to crack a good company.
Yeah, thanks Sean for sharing. Over to you, Avichal. I think there is an extension of the question, which is which committees are relevant, and can you highlight the committees or fest which are helpful and one should be a part of that?
Yeah, I think I should take that question. So, firstly, there is no relevance or importance of any club. So, as to say, let's just try to understand that these committees and clubs are really and should be your interest based. So, if you want to do marketing and if you're really interested in marketing, there is a marketing society. If you love sports, if you want to organize sports based events, there's sportscom. If you want to get involved in organizing bigger fests and that's something that interests you, then there's the MV participating committee. So relevance and there's no help is basically you get another set of peer group in which there would be more like-minded people all working towards the same goal or same sort of interest level. So I think that that's probably the approach you want to have when you look at any committees or club selection. There is a elaborate selection process that happens when it comes to committees and clubs at IIM Lucknow, and seniors would then take a good amount of time to first educate you about what the society does, what the clubs do. And once you join in the college in the first trimester itself, you will have touch points to get to know the first hand feel of, what a particular society is engaged in. So I think, I think it's still more about your interest rather than what looks good, supposedly. So I think that's probably the best approach to have. And just touching up briefly upon case competitions, etc. Unfortunately, I did not do a lot in my time. But I think, like he says, that this is the only time in the B school where you get experience to such case comps, right? Where there are and it's heavily being invested in from the corporate side. Now when we talk, like when I talk also as a recruiter now for the last 2 years, I see how seriously the senior management at all these recruiting firms, they take care of bringing in the talent. And case competition is an excellent platform where they see people doing actual work on some sort of case statement and the thought process. So I think, if not for anything else, just for the feel of the competition and what it takes to build a successful idea to execution plan, I think people should definitely take a go at it. But I think that's my two bits on committees to ensure that I'm not biased. I'll also to add his views on that.
Yeah, so I'll be very blunt on this one. So mostly I've seen people joining clubs and committees basis, placements and seeing that, okay, this is the committee that I want to join. They have good placement record. This some committee that has more influence than the others. But that's not the case. I would highly recommend you guys to join the committee as per your interest. And that's an excellent way to, what do you say, enhance your network and learn more about peer minded people. But just blindly going after a committee because you thought that would help in placement, it will bite you in the long run. And I've seen many cases that people have initially joined committees, but then over the years coming off and walking out of that committee. So that is another thing. Apart from that, it is very important to join a committee per se, because in that way you are expanding your network. You are getting things done on campus. You are learning, but at the same time, it is not that something. If let's say if you are someone who has not joined a committee, then it's not that your life is over and then you can't do much. It's not that. We have seen, I think, I may not be quoting a right number, but let's say even if 40% of the people who have not joined the committees and all, they are doing, way better than people who are in committees and all. And they're like 35 to 40 committees, so you would never run out of committees, and you will always get a fair chance to, be a part of any committee that you would like. And apart from that, I think the second question was, I'm not able to recollect.
Yes.
Oh yeah, so case comp. So I had done some fair 8 to 10 case comps. So mostly you'd see case comps are getting popular in these days. I think for the last 2 to 3 years, because and they are the fastest way to company. That is one thing that I would say. And so the case comps like Amazon, Accenture ones, and the Flipkart ones, they are like very popular among the students and across campuses. And as Avichal has said, I won't emphasize much, but the senior management or the top leadership of any firm, they are putting efforts to make sure that they are hiring people through those case comps. And I think a couple of days back, I also read on LinkedIn that there was some founder who was saying, if I have to go to some B school and hire some students, I would definitely route it through case comps. So that is, one of the fastest and the best ways to, get a shortcut entry to a big firm, I would say. But again, at the same time, it is not the end of everything. So I had done 8 to 10 case comps. Avichal, I think he only said that he was not someone who was into case comps and all. But apart from that, he has done other stuff, that, he makes him an outstanding person. So that is something you need to focus. So even if you're not doing case comps and all, make sure that you're working on the stuff that you like. You are working on yourself. You are improving day by day. You're learning from your peers, and so that is going to take you a long way.
Yeah,
Sorry, I think Yash had also raised his hand. So he's asked a directed question that I said 75% in UG. So did I get a call from ABC? No, I did not have a call from ABC, but that's not purely because of my pointer. I'll give my background for his satisfaction. I am a general engineering male with not the best engineering score, let's say. So Lucknow was my best call. But Calcutta specifically has a lot of tolerance no matter what your pointer is, Yash. So even if you are a 5 pointer, but you do 100 percentile, they have a place for you because they will give you a fair shot. So it's just how the criterias are designed, right? Like Shadan mentioned that 30% is what IIM Lucknow's weightage would be to CAT. I think for IIM Calcutta, that weightage to CAT is significantly higher. So if you're like crossing 99.7 or something, then at least they will give you a fair shot at, competing in the interview process. So I think that's just because it was a more directed question about ABC. So no, I did not have calls, but I would not attribute it purely to my undergrad score because that probably would be just a 5% criteria. But the other 95% about how you get there is also quite competitive. So, right.
Thanks, Avijal, for sharing that. So let's take the last question in the interest of time very quickly. Is it what is your best memory at IIM Lucknow? And if you could have done anything differently, looking back now, what would you have done? So yeah, we can start with Shadan and Avijal and then.
Okay, so the about the best memory, I think it was the time around MV only. So those 3 days you have no classes, and it's a huge thing to have no classes in IIM Lucknow, right? So there are classes at 7:45 in the morning, and there are classes at 11 in the night. So when you get those 3 days when you don't have any classes, you're just chilling out with your friends, and the college is so much crowded. Actually, the campus is so big for 1,000 people that you usually don't see people around. So those 3 days, there is some good enough crowd and things are going on here and there. So it's a very fun time. So I think that was my best memory. And apart from that, what was the second part of the question?
If you could do anything differently, now looking back at the journey, what would it be?
Okay, so I mean, when I joined IIM Lucknow, I was quite done with committees from my undergrad, so I did not join any committee here. And also, I thought that it was a good way forward because the time crunch and everything. I wanted to focus more on different things like CaseCom and all. But now, since I'm in second year, I have the subjects of my choice, and they are not very stressful. I mean, I have an exam in next 45 minutes, but I'm still doing this, so they are not stressful. And so now I think that maybe I could have taken some part in some committees, especially the consulting and the domain that I wanted to pursue, the consulting and product management domain. I could have taken some committees. So this is one thing that want to do differently if I got a chance again. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's an event that happens between for A, B, C, and L. It's called Sangharsh, and this is an annual sports meet, and it rotates every year. So like Ahmedabad would host it one year, we would host it one year, so it happens. So in our time, one year we couldn't have it because of COVID, but the second year, Utkan and I would both travel to Calcutta for this. So I think some of my best memories come from that because it's worse than what you can imagine in terms of the competitive spirit and the environment. But yeah, when you look back at it, you really make some of the fondest memories. One thing that I would do differently, maybe, yeah, I think MBAs also teaches you the importance of diplomacy and not always taking sides. So I think I'm someone probably who is very polarized in taking sides and making opinions. But I have peers who've really taken the diplomatic route and had it very easy. So I don't know if it's the right thing to say or not, but yeah, I think that's just the way how things work in the real world as well, right? Because when people say MBA is a mimic of how the corporate world looks like, you can't always be the person taking one stance or the other. Sometimes diplomacy is the best way. So I think one thing to do differently from my 2 years would be just staying a middle ground or just staying in the gray area a little more than black or white.
Yeah, so adding to Vichal, of course, Sangharsh is one of the core memories that I would also treasure. And apart from that, I think what IIM Lucknow gave me as a core memory was I was a part of the student exchange program. So being a part of that, I went to Neoma Business School in Paris. So that is, I think, one of the memories that in case I would have, I'm not sure if I would have joined any other IIM or let's say any other B school. I'm not sure if I would have got that opportunity or not. So, and being a part of that student exchange program, I got to travel like 18 countries. So, and that too, when you're not having any responsibilities, you are roaming freely. One day you are in Paris, other day you're in Spain. So that is something that I'd be always grateful to IIM Lucknow. And apart from that, if anything that I could change, maybe I would try to, make myself more available for events and all in the starting first year. Because in the first year, I remember I was too stressful. I was not able to connect with much people in my first year. But given in the second year, as day progressed, then I, communicated with more and more people. I networked with lots of peers. So that is something that I would also recommend, that start communicating with different people from diverse background no sooner you enter an IM. So that is one thing that I would like to change if I could revisit IM. But yeah, I guess I and Avichal I think we had a great time, and as you know part of different we were part of different clubs, committees. Actually, we were the ones who had, influenced decisions and all, as you would have heard him saying. I was someone who was, quite fair in taking decisions and all. So that is one thing that I would give it to him, and he was known for all of this stuff. So I think there is lots of things happening in a B school. You have lots in your hands. There are things that are, run and managed by students. So just once you enter a B school and once you come out of the 2 years, you're completely a different person. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shadan, Avichal, and Utkarsh for taking out the time and providing your insights, sharing your experiences genuinely with our participants. I think it's very valuable. And to the participants, I think there are a few questions which were not covered, but we keep having these IM sessions every Sunday usually. So feel free to attend the next session, because there are some questions which are not specific to IM Lucknow, so I have not covered that. So we'll keep having these questions. We'll try to cover them next time. So thank you so much, all of you. Have a nice Sunday, and thanks again to all the speakers, all the participants for making it interactive. And yeah, see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye.